So I remember how confident I was. I really knew who I was, you know. I remember how confident I was when I was a baby. It's all, been downhill from there. But at the time, I had just won the big race a 2 months before. Was working out pretty well. But I think as I became an adult, like a lot of people, I had developed a pretty sophisticated Venn diagram of things that told me who I was. You know what I mean? My job told me who I was and where I had been and my upbringing and my family situation and what people thought of me and my obligations and how much money I had and how much money I didn't have and where I lived. And all of these very complicated things started to give me a sense of identity that used to come from the inside. And none of those things are bad things, but none of those things can tell us who we are. When you do it right, when you hit it right, those things about us, our job, our situation, they are impacted by who we are. They can't tell us who we are. It flows the other way, And I think for me also was the case on the inside. I thought that who I was a matter of the feelings I had and the thoughts that I had and the emotional baggage that I had and the issues that I had and the stuff, And none of those things are bad things. It's wonderful to be on that kind of a journey too, but none of those things can tell you who you are. The cool thing about a baby is that there are no facts about them. Just truth. There's no facts about a baby. They don't have a job yet. They don't have opinions about the political landscape. I hope. Just truth. No facts. And that's pretty cool. Because I think a lot of adults build an armor of facts around themselves to prevent themselves from having to deal with whatever it is that they don't want to see, don't want to look at, don't want to acknowledge. You know what I mean? It's easy to build that armor of facts that can sometimes hide truth. You know the difference between truth and facts? This is fundamental stuff. This is really important stuff. This will tell you so much about what you need to do next. The difference between truth and facts can save you. Quite simply, facts change, truth doesn't. Facts come from the outside, truth comes from the inside. And if you can lean on the truth one and let the facts go, you're going to be okay. But like I said, a lot of adults, a lot of people build up an armor of facts around themselves. And sometimes I even hear people, when they come to pray with me, when they come to work on stuff with me, they say things like, "Can we please add some more facts?" They don't say it like that. You know what I mean? Can I please get some more money? Can I please lose a few more pounds? Can I please have more things about me? Can I get a bigger house? Can I move to the thing? Can I do the thing, So often the prayer is, the work is, can I add more facts? I got to tell you, in my professional opinion, more facts has never helped anybody. Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them. But they can't tell you who you are. It's Easter. And one of the messages of Easter, real quick, is for you to be who you were meant to be, for you to live, some of the facts have to die. For you to be who you were meant to be, some of those things have got to go. Let me put that a different way. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have experienced this over and 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 over again. This is that life asks me if I mean it. You pronounce something, and life is like, "Are you sure? Have you ever decided that you were going to be a vegetarian and then get invited to a barbecue?" You meet your special someone, you find that relationship, and all of a sudden, old boyfriends and girlfriends are calling you up. This is the job I want, and then the other offer comes in. Life asks you if you mean it. There's this wonderful chemical reaction that happens when you put some old facts in with some real truth. And the times that I have been the most unhappy in my life are the times when I identify with the stuff that can go away. And the times when I have been the most happy, the most effective, the most centered, the most lemon-scented, whatever you want, the best, Is when I didn't identify with what can go away, but when I identified with what remains. Think about your life. There has been stuff that has gone away from you. Maybe it felt like it has been taken from you. Maybe you grew past it. However that worked. Are you you because of what's gone? Or are you you because of what has always been? That is the choice. And it's the difference between truth and facts. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in a situation where you're forced to be in a specific physical location. You got to be there. There are very specific rules about going in and coming out. There are security guards. There's a big deal there. There are rules about what you can wear. There are rules about when you can eat. Every once in a while, there's a meeting about whether or not you get to leave, for example. There's rules about everything. When I paint that picture, and I say, well, what am I talking about? About half the people I say that to say, that sounds like prison. And about half the people I talk to say, that sounds like my job. There's a tremendous amount of overlap when you think about it that way. Is it break time yet? Am I meeting the dress code? Do I conform? Did I say something inappropriate for HR? All of these things apply to both places. And there's a tremendous amount of overlap in other ways too. I see a couple people in the room going, uh-oh. In both places, I'm defined by time. You know, I'm defined by the past. What did you do to get in here? Did you knock over a gas station? Or where did you go to school and what is your previous curriculum? Defined by the past. I'm defined by my present. Are you working on a spreadsheet? Or are you brewing some Chardonnay in the facilities? Whatever it is. I'm defined by what's going on. You like that one? I'm defined by what's going on right now. I'm defined by the future. What's your 5-year plan? Or are you digging a tunnel under the wall? One way or another. I'm defined by the past. I'm defined by the present. I'm defined by the future. And none of those things can actually define me unless I let them. Maybe that's why they call it doing time. Maybe that's why they call it an occupation, because it is occupying my time. You can tell somebody who is in that kind of situation, that kind of incarceration, occupation situation, wow, I tried it and it was okay. Because they say two very strange words, and those words are right now. It's a time thing. You say, what are you doing? And they go, well, right now I'm doing this thing. Right now this is my job. Right now this is my situation. And the inference is later on I'll be doing the thing that I really want to do. You're on a date with somebody and they say, right now, go ahead and ask for the check. Well, right now, okay. Like I said, doing time, marking time, occupying. It's time for us to be willing for some of those things about us to go away. It's time to lean into a little bit of vulnerability. It's time to, I don't know, let go of that. Just a little bit. Lean into what's not safe. Because so many times people pray and think and ask for safety. But you know, the average jail has got big, thick walls and iron bars and guards and a security system you wouldn't believe. But everybody in there, even though it seems safe and predictable, everybody in there is trying to get out. Maybe safety is not what we were built for. Maybe vulnerability, maybe the unknown, maybe something that requires stepping out on faith a little bit is a little bit more important. When I say things about freedom, it speaks to people. It speaks to me. That's why I say it. And I think that my whole life has been trying to get to that free place. Trying to get back. That's the thing. What I've discovered is that everyone's journey for freedom isn't really an escape, it's a coming home. Everybody's journey to be something that they've always wanted to be isn't going somewhere new, it's being where something always has been. If I were to give you homework this week, I would ask you to start thinking about, well, what has always been true about me? And find a way to lean into those places. Because I got to tell you, when I think about the things that I really know, that I'm really sure about, they didn't come from anywhere outside of me. Look, I've been to school a long, long time. To get the ministerial thing, I went to school for a really long time, and I'm a nerdy kind of guy. I read a lot, it's my thing. I've had a lot of people tell me what to do. I've had a lot of teachers. I'm a third-generation minister. You wouldn't believe what I've been told. I've had a lot of wonderful teachers. I've read a lot of wonderful books, and books are good, and teachers are good, and it's all good. But the things that I really know did not come from somebody telling me. Maybe you know what that is. Maybe you have that same experience. The things that I really know don't come from authority. They don't come even from experience. They don't come from anything outside of myself. The things that I really know, I just know. When I was a kid, and I was in youth group at church, and Jenny walked in the room, there wasn't somebody tapping me on the shoulder saying, she's the one you're going to marry. I just knew. And here we are. There's my kid. She's old now. The things that I know, I know. Knowledge comes from the inside. And I bet you every single person in this room, everybody watching online, everybody everywhere has that same experience. Because it's the difference between facts and truth. You want to be a happy person? Lean into the things that you just know the same way you know you're in love, the same way you know that you're alive. One of the things that really, really changed my life was the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater. I was a little kid. It was the late 70s. And the movie, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Star Wars. It's an obscure little art film. And it blew me away. Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen Episode 4, A New Hope, 1977, I want to say, you got to see it. No, I'm going out on a limb here. Yeah. But you got to see it. I remember being a little kid and never being in a movie theater before and being blown away by the whole experience. I was a church kid, so I was familiar with the idea that we all sit in seats and something happens in the front of the room. This was a different kind of worship. And I remember that feeling of, wow, here's this young farm boy, Luke Skywalker, who is awakening to the idea that there's this universal force that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. Okay, I'm in. This sounds kind of familiar. The idea of that awakening in him. The whole experience. And yeah, there's stuff that blows up, and that's fun too. I was a little kid. Sue me, you know? I loved all of it. I loved all of it. I was blown away by it, and like a lot of kids growing up in that time of the 70s, everything I owned had to have Star Wars on it. I had the sleeping bags, and I had the toys, and I had the outfits, and I had it all. And I still buy that stuff. Sorry. But it was a funny thing because I remember that because I was so obsessed, I guess, that at one point my dad took me aside and he said, I want to make sure you understand that this didn't happen. You know that, right? I don't know if you know how movies work, but this isn't real. Yeah, it was. Look, I knew about actors. I had seen television. I know how it works. I get it. But it did happen because it happened in me. The stuff that really happens may or may not have anything to do with the facts. Who cares? That's boring. The things that have changed your life are the things that you know on the inside. They happen in you. You want to be a happy person, stop being affected by whether or not something can be carbon dated. But instead, start being moved by something that moves you. I think that a lot of adults think that being an adult has to do with being unassailable, unmovable, insulated, But that's not the path to happiness. Certainly not the path to love. You want to be happy, be open, be vulnerable, find things that move you. Dance to your favorite song, Go see the next Star Wars movie and the next one, whatever it is for you. Be the kind of person who is movable. Let something happen in you, because that's where happiness lives. And I think that sounds like a funny thing to say on Easter, because, look, I don't know where you've been. That sounded weird. Where have you been? But it's very, very possible that your experience of Easter is, well, I was always told that Easter is something that happens to me. And it was a guy a long time ago and some people a long time ago, far away. It's only the beginning of Star Wars, but it's not that. Something that happened a long time ago that I guess I'm supposed to be excited about, but also I'm supposed to feel kind of bad about, and I don't really understand anything, but I don't have any part in it except to be sad about some bad thing that I did just for being alive. And this other person did a thing, and there's this blackmail scheme, extortion thing, where somebody gets hurt, and then I'm supposed to be okay, and I don't get it. And the overall theme for a lot of people of Easter is something happens to me that I have really no say in. And I don't get that. I mean, I don't get it because, for one thing, everything Jesus ever said was, guys, go do this. The overarching message is, God's good, you're good, go do good. And you can get theological about the rest of it, but that's the key to it. Go do a thing, you know? That's the key to it because of who you are. You've got to have this thing happen in you. That was the message over and over again. And the idea is healing happens. Triumph happens. Life happens. To quote the Gospel of Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way. That's kind of the Easter message. And so I never got that connection, you know. I guess I was spoiled by my background growing up in New Thought, but it didn't really do a thing for me. But more than that, I never got the concept of vicarious atonement, the idea that suffering from somebody else somehow fixes me. Never mind the fact that Jesus' whole thing was you shouldn't have to suffer, you should be alive and be happy and be healed and all that. The deal is that he said a bunch of times, I'm coming back, don't worry, I'm just running into the store for a minute. Leave the window cracked for you. I'm coming right back. He said it over and over again. Over and over again, there's these healings. Over and over again, there's this life happening. Over and over again. It's all that. How do you get that and go, oh, suffering? But more than that, if Jesus knows he's coming back, then where's the sacrifice? The message is, I guess he blew a weekend for our sins? Come on now. There's got to be I'm glad you like that one. There's got to be a deeper meaning to it. There's got to be more to it. It can't possibly be about the suffering. It doesn't add up anywhere. So here's the thing I want to share with you. When you read all of this, there's this part where Jesus dies. And the Bible says a bunch of stuff happens. I mean, I guess I could just stop right there. But according to the Bible, there's an earthquake. According to the Bible, the sun goes out. According to the Bible, there's all of these things, people freaking out, and it's a big Cecil B. DeMille kind of a thing. And it's so interesting. I remember reading this as a little kid, because that's the kind of nerd I was. Going, okay, earthquakes, eclipse, all of these other things. And also the Bible says, and the veil of the temple was rent asunder. You know what that means? You know what the veil is? It sounds like something architectural. It's a curtain. It's a curtain. It's the curtain. Well, think about how crazy that is. There's an earthquake. Oh, I can handle that. The sun goes out. I can handle that. People are freaking out. I can handle that. But the drapes? I just got those. I've hung some drapes in my life. It is traumatic. It never made sense to me. And as I got a little bit older, I read a little bit more about it. And as it turns out, the drapes in the temple separate the main area from what's called the Holy of Holies. And it's a special area that only one person, the high priest, gets to go in. And he only gets to go in once a year. Not even the other rabbis. Only the high priest gets to go in there, and only once a year, because that's where God lives. And once a year, the high priest gets to go in and say the name of God. And that's the thing that you're not allowed to say any other time. It's a forbidden word. So the meaning is, from now on, there's no barrier. From now on, this is open to everybody. From now on, God is open for business. But the thing I want to share with you today as we talk about vulnerability is that this is a two-way street. God is open to you in whatever way that you interpret that and understand that and celebrate that and observe that. But it has to be a two-way street. I have to be vulnerable too in order to have that interaction. I have to be open too for this to work. That's the meaning. And I remember reading about, when I was in school, reading about that name of God that you're not allowed to say. It's 4 letters, because there's no vowels. It's YHWH. YHWH. And the idea is that you're not allowed to say it, but not just that you're not allowed to say it, but you kind of can't say it. Because these are what's called aspirated consonants. And I remember reading when I was a kid in school that to say it sounds a little bit like breathing. It sounds a little bit like shouting and screaming. And so it's one of those things where if you're trying to say it, you can't say it. It's not that it's forbidden in an external way. It's forbidden because you can't if you try. The harder you try to get to God, the more you miss the point of it. Gosh, it's like there's a lesson there. But I remember thinking about what that word might sound like. This sounds like breathing. This sounds like screaming. And I could never get there. I never really understood it. You know, I didn't grow up Jewish. That's not my background. So part of it was I just didn't get it on that level. But I just fundamentally couldn't get my head around it. And it became sort of an important thing to me. Like, what would this sound like? This name that sounds like breathing, that sounds like shouting. And then sometime later, my baby daughter was born. And I knew what it sounded like. It turns out that that's the sound. It sounds like breathing, that it sounds like shouting. It's something that you know. What I want to share with you today is that you're already good at this. You know the name. And the name knows you. If you're open to it, if you let that be who you are. And in fact, it's hidden everywhere. It's hidden in every breath. It's hidden in those moments when we feel like shouting, when there's no other way. That's where it is. If we let ourselves be vulnerable to those moments. It's hiding everywhere in the same way that we hide Easter eggs, those symbols of life. It's hiding everywhere. If we but look for it. If we but let ourselves be like little kids, where everything's brand new and everything's magic and everything's special, can that be okay with you? Or do you need to shield yourself with facts? Joseph Campbell says that we are electricity, but we've mistaken ourselves for being light bulbs. I think that's pretty good. You get to decide what you're defined by. You get to decide to get the point or to miss the point. You get to decide. But this week, as we observe the triumph of life, I want you to think about what makes you alive. I want you to think about what you know, just like you know you're alive. And I want you to remember that the name knows you. Everything else, it'll work out. Let it go. Set it free. Because after all, freedom is a choice.